Today in the morning session, the bill, my amendment bill number 27 of 2024, the TSC amendment bill number 27 of 2024 was introduced on the floor of the House in what we procedurally call the first reading. And that is the first very crucial step in ensuring that the bill is enacted into law. The next stage is actually the bill will be taken back to the Education Committee, where it will be subjected to public participation before it is presented again for the second reading, where members of Parliament will debate on it. Several members of Parliament or other members of Parliament who are interested in the bill will give their views. There are those who will give views to enrich the bill. There are those who will, of course, have perhaps of a contrary view. So the second reading is usually a stage where we will listen to what contribution all the other members will give to the bill. And then finally, if there are any other amendments, any other further amendments to be made to the bill, then it will be done at the third reading before the bill is finally passed and enacted as part of the TSC Act. So the import of the bill is basically to try and make sure that the question around acting administrators, the teaching profession has a very huge problem with acting administrators. Teachers have been promoted to the deputy head teachers or the head teachers, and some of them have acted for eternity. The Public Service Act says all civil servants are supposed to act for a maximum of 6 months, after which they are either confirmed into that position substantively or they are replaced. But the TSC has had this habit where administrators have been acting. Some have acted for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, for eternity. And at the end of the day, somebody else again is recruited to fill that position for which another administrator has been. So the bill is seeking to harmonize this problem of acting administrators in the teaching fraternity and basically also to make sure that because when we ask why some teachers have been acting for about 6 years and then the positions are filled, are recruited again and filled by somebody else, some of the reasons that TSC has been giving is that perhaps the person who has been acting is not qualified to be substantively confirmed as in that position. So the bill is seeking to end that habit, that practice, so that even before TSC thinks of posting a teacher in an acting position in any, either as a deputy or a head teacher, they make sure that that teacher is first of all qualified for that position, either as the deputy head teacher or as the head teacher or as a principal. They make sure first of all that teacher is qualified before they post them to that acting position. Secondly, there have been a tradition where some teachers have been acting in more than one position. I've seen teachers in my constituency, for example, somebody was promoted to be a deputy head teacher, and then while he's still holding that contract for that deputy head teachership, he's again promoted to a head teacher, again in acting capacity. You are acting as a deputy head teacher for 2 years, and then again you continue acting as a head teacher, perhaps for another 2-3 years. So this bill is aiming to cure that kind of a problem, so that the acting period is defined in law, and we are proposing a period of between a minimum of 30 days to a maximum of 6 days as prescribed in the Public Service Commission Act. And if a teacher has served for 6 months in an acting position, then because the teacher is already qualified for the position, the fair thing is to make sure that the teacher is confirmed in that position substantively. The other question that the bill is trying to address, the amendment bill is trying to address, is the question of allowances. What TSC has done, there are several categories of allowances which the TSCs have put in their regulation, that teachers under different circumstances will be paid different allowances, like for example, acting allowance, responsibility allowance, special duty allowance, allowances, commuter allowance, transfer allowance. But since it has been put in the regulation, TSC has had this habit of ignoring those allowances when it comes to paying the teachers. So the bill is also trying to entrench those allowances, moving them from the regulation into the act, so that TSC is compelled by law to pay those teachers those allowances whenever those circumstances under which those allowances are supposed to be paid present themselves. For example, almost all those teachers who are in acting capacity in northern Kenya, all the regions of northern Kenya that I know, they have never been paid acting allowances. They have been put in acting positions for 6, 7 years. Even if you look at their contract, TSC has cleverly avoided putting the question of acting allowance in their contracts. You know, the contracts have been worded in such a way that, you know, the teachers are made to believe you just hold fort while it is actually an acting position. So the amendment bill is actually trying to cure all those problems, moving those allowances to the act so that it gets the force of the law. If you are transferred from one region to the other as a teacher, then you are entitled to the transfer allowance, and by law, TSC will be compelled to pay you that transfer allowance. If you have been acting for that prescribed period that I've mentioned in the amendment bill, then the TSC is compelled by law to pay you the acting allowance and the special duty allowance. So that is the import of the bill, and I hope other members of parliament will support the bill so that it ends up into a substantive law in the TSC Act. Because the question of acting allowances, the question of teacher allowances is a problem across the country. All teachers throughout the country have the same problem. Perhaps the problem is more pronounced in some regions like northern Kenya, northeastern, because of the special conditions that are found there. But this problem of teacher allowances and the problem of acting is a problem affecting teachers across the country, in all the regions in this country. And this bill, this amendment bill, is aimed at curing that problem, and I hope the teachers will get the reprieve, the much needed reprieve, the much awaited reprieve after this bill is passed into law. And I ask my fellow legislators, because it's a problem affecting all of us, it's a problem affecting this country, it's a problem affecting the education sector, and the education sector being a very important sector in this country. As we have always been told, education is the only equalizer of society, and if it has to realize that fact of the equalizer of society, then those teachers delivering education to our children must be made comfortable, must be made happy, must be motivated, and that is why this bill is targeting the acting teachers and also the allowances for teachers.